Hi, welcome to Soundheads.
Welcome.
I'm Tristan Todd.
I'm Sophia Massid.
And this is Soundheads, where we get into the minds of the music industry.
Today we have the amazing photographer Madi Rae Jones on the podcast. Let's go.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and spending the evening with us.
I know, I'm excited.
And a shout out to Gilson at 33rd Street for doing our sound and putting us in his beautiful little studio and making this podcast sound
Chef's kiss.
Classy.
Thank you. So, Maddie, tell us about how you got started in doing like music photography. Did you originally just want to do photography, or was it always music for you?
I mean, there's like a lot of signs that led me to photography, and a lot of the time I was like completely blind to it. That's the funniest part is like my grandpa was a photographer, my uncle was a photographer, my dad continuously bought me cameras, Robbie, my husband, bought me a camera. And I was like, this is great, like this is fun. And I never somehow put the two together that I could like do it as a job, you know?
Yeah.
Because my mind was actually straight on music. So that's kind of the kicker. Like I started in music and I did photography just for fun.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I was more of a behind the scenes kind of person and not like I like performing, but I just felt more myself when I was like behind the camera versus like in a group of people or in front of a group of people. I mean, you both know when you perform, like you've got to like feel that and be energetic and confident and so like photography, I just felt more myself when I stepped behind the camera. So I started with like going to school for music. I mean, we all went to ACM and kind of at different times too, but so I went to ACM for a little bit, and then I just met people while I was like a photographer, like for fun. And so it just kind of blossomed from there because I was meeting the right people. And I actually, it's funny because I started shooting like at like abandoned places. Like, you know, photography for me didn't even start with music. It just started like doing random things, and that just happened to be what I kind of latched onto. I got just a friend, she was like, hey, I have an extra pass to what used to be Center of the Universe Festival in Tulsa. I'd never shot a show before. I started working for like a publication, barely, like hadn't even done anything for them yet. And she was like, hey, I have an extra pass. If you can make it this day, I can't. And I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. So of course we're in OKC, and we rushed that day to go to Tulsa, and I shoot it. So like the first show I ever shot was like Panic at the Disco. Cool. Like 3 Days Grace, Tycho. So that was like the first time I'd done it, and literally while I was in the photo pit, I was like tearing up. I'm like, this is it. And
that's how you know.
Yeah, like it meant something to me, even though those bands directly weren't like my favorite bands. Like it still like felt like I was in the right place. And so I just continued with that. And then, you know, when you're at ACM, like I just continued to get to know people, and it just kind of led me in every which direction. So, I mean, there's like it's a windy path that led me to music photography, but that one opportunity, it was actually Alexa Ace who she's actually helped me out a lot with just like getting my foot in the door as a music photographer. She's always supported me, and it's really, really important to have people that believe in you too, to kind of give you the encouragement to continue on too, because it's hard to when you're like, what can I do, where can I go, and then you have people that kind of step in and be like, hey, how about you try this? And I'm like, oh, sure, okay. So yeah, just that one moment was a really like big eye opener, and that's kind of how it all started.
That's awesome.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
but it was a big first eye opener. Yeah, very fortunate.
Had you done a lot of photography before then? Or were you like, I don't know, these pictures are just going to turn out how they turn out? Yeah,
like I'd obviously had a professional camera. I'd gotten started in it. I'd done like a couple, people had reached out to me just for like senior sessions. I don't know. Instagram was very different back then too. Right. So it wasn't, and I'm glad that it in a way is easier to get to know people, link up with people. But back then I was like, how the heck did you find me? Like, and so I would just randomly get people that would book me for like senior sessions, and they all resonated with like my vibe, I guess. Right. So I like grit. I like, you know, I mean, I listen to metal a lot. And so that's kind of been my, like, that's what I enjoy. Right. And so the people that are drawn to me somehow right from the start were like coming, and I'd barely even done anything. And I was like, okay, like, let's just do this. Let's go. And people just kept coming, and just slowly, like, obviously it wasn't like a quick thing, but I do a lot of other photography outside of music photography as well. So it's kind of a a really big picture to it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that one show was really just like the moment I was like, this is it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's an amazing
And then
story.
so many others after.
Yeah. So kind of after that, were you able to use that to like leverage yourself up to get other photography gigs at different venues?
Yeah, so it is funny how things just work out. First of
Yeah.
all, I worked at Fuzzy's Taco Shop in Bricktown for a while, and they were opening the Jones Assembly at like kind of the time I was working there. And I was like, hey, listen, I work for this publication. I've been working for them. And, you know, keep in mind, like these publications that I work for are free, which I loved doing and I did for years. Like I'm very, very happy to, like, I love what I do and I wanted to build my name up. So in a way you do kind of have to do that. It can be hard, but I did that for a while. And so I was at a point where I was like, I was ready to take it to the next step. So I just reached out and I was like, hey, I work here at Fuzzy's. You are opening the Jones Assembly. I would love if you have the possibility of having like a house photographer. And luckily they took me in, and I did that for, I actually probably have the years wrong, but maybe like the first 2 or 3 years that they were open.
That's awesome.
And so like I was their house photographer, and I really think that's how my name was, which is funny because the same name. We are not related.
Right.
Me and the Jones Assembly are not related. But
That's a
we
great
have
point.
the same name. So people saw the Jones Assembly as Madi Jones, and it just like everyone knew who I was,
Connected, yeah.
you know? And that really set my name out into the community because I was there at every show, shooting every show. I always had stuff
so
to
cool.
share. And again, like it wasn't any bands that I like technically resonated with, but I still loved it. And I really showed up and I put my all in, and I would literally like, I'd shoot a show and then I'd be up until 4 a.m. editing that day.
Oh
And
my
then I'd
gosh.
send the shots the next morning, you know? So,
That's so cool.
and that's the thing with that kind of stuff is you kind of have to like, you got to be on top of it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Gotta do it
people,
right
I mean, you
then.
know, like I try to get shots out
Yeah.
right away because I know how exciting it is. And like the moment isn't the same after a show a week later, you know, like
Yeah,
they're
totally.
like whoever played is like on to the next city, like multiple states away.
Yeah.
So
So they want
Yeah,
it right
it's-
then and there.
mhm,
Yeah.
it's really important to get that stuff out. And that was something I was really, really good at. And so I feel like that helped me also build momentum.
Oh yeah.
It all these little steps just kind of led me. So yeah, I worked there for a couple years and then built my name up in that way. And then I stepped away and started just doing my own thing. And then that's when I was really like, okay, I'm gonna shoot metal stuff.
Yeah.
And so I joined like a publication, and as a music photographer, if you want to shoot, this is for like people who want to start. You have to
Listen
for
up.
you.
This is for you.
You have to reach out to publications, and some of them have different criteria. Like some of them you have to, you know, provide something monthly. Some are a little bit more lenient. Some you have to do interviews and like just other types of things. But I'm lucky enough to be part of like some that, because also, you know, as you guys know, I have a 5-year-old as well. So maintaining all of this is it's a blast, but it's so hard.
Busy schedule.
And so I need a publication where I can just like drop off the face of the earth for a little bit and and then like randomly show back up because just I have the time. So yeah, it's tough doing it, and it's kind of like this type of feeling, you know,
Yeah.
but it's, if you join a publication, it's far more easier to get your foot in the door and to get artists to notice you and notice your work.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you work for a publication, usually you send it back to their representative, and you know, sometimes they're gonna, I don't know, they don't always click on those links, but sometimes they're gonna click on the link and see. And I've gotten some other opportunities just from contacting band press representatives. And so
Just always be networking.
yes,
honestly,
always.
yeah.
And then COVID happened, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Take a little break.
Yeah.
I'm just
But-
thinking, like, how do you stay up till 4 a.m. editing photos and then wake up at 6 a.m. with a 5-year-old?
It's, well, you know, when I was at the Jones, she was a lot younger. So she wasn't in school then. And it's funny how, like, as we progress, things just have to change. And so, no, I don't really stay up until 4 a.m. anymore. I do sometimes, depending on what it is, and also just how sleepy I am. But yeah, it was hard. Like, I look back and I realize how hard I really did work to get to where I am now. And it really is rewarding because I did it for so long too. Like, I really look back and it has been this long journey in a good way. Like, it really has been. So
That's awesome.
I'm going to end it there.
That's super.
There's so many directions to go. So
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that led me to where I am and like what I am now. But I think those like 2 things were pretty big.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was gonna ask, like, say somebody asks you like, hey, come shoot for our band. I've never personally been in charge of the people that like hire the photographer or anything to like come and shoot. Do you have like a ritual or like a rundown? Like what's your like process?
I think it could be pretty different per artist because also I have different relationships and they all like vary. So like I've obviously gotten to know you, like I've worked with you enough to, you know, like be chill about like like, hey, just text me, you know,
Right.
but no, I definitely like from the moment they come, I want them to know like how excited I am to work with them.
Yeah.
So it always means so much to me when somebody comes to me and resonates with my work and wants to like somehow mesh our creativity together. Like I never look at my work as just my work. I look at it as a, you know, I'm collaborating with someone in a way. And so in a way it's funny because I feel like my work never completely resembles me because I want it to resemble other people. Like
That's tight.
That's actually a super interesting quote. Can you say that again?
probably
that
not.
was really cool.
play it back.
I did like that. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
so it can be difficult, but I have that in my head when people reach out. Like I obviously have myself in mind. Like I want to put my spin. That's why people reach out to me, you know, like they want my creative spin on it. But I definitely like want it to be a moment of
Yeah.
just coming together.
Well, and like, do you edit the photos differently depending on the genre and like depending on the artist?
Yes. And I mean, to answer your question, like it is different with everyone. So, but that's my biggest thing is I just like, I want. And so leading into that, yes, I do edit them differently. And as I'm sure
So you
you've
just
seen.
kind of adapt to the
And like,
circumstance.
you know, some photographers would say not to do that. But I love just, like I said, like meeting with other people and figuring out what they like. Like, I don't want to be placed inside a box.
Yeah.
Even though obviously we are in some way, but it's like I sit here and I say I like shooting metal, you know,
Right.
like that's obviously my favorite thing that I do, but I also hate being put in a box because I want to be able to create for so many different things. Like I love so many different things, so why limit myself?
Yeah.
So yes, I do edit a little differently, but I always like I step into my editing zone and I like, you know, if I'm going to edit your session, I'm probably going to put on your song sometimes. Like I want to feel what needs to be felt through those images. And they're not going to come across that way if like me personally, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but they're not going to come across the way that I want if I don't like take those steps. So like when I'm editing, it's more so, well, when I'm shooting shows, it's different because I literally just show up and I'm like, you're moving. And I'm like,
Yeah.
That's my
You know?
next question. Don't worry. I have questions for that
okay,
too.
yeah. So yeah, like it's different when it comes to like a live show or promos or something like that. So promos, there's definitely more planning that goes into that because I want to make sure everything's cohesive, everything's what whoever the person I'm working with wants, and also what I want to like put out as well. So I try to plan a lot. It comes down just like, you know, planning clothes and like what those clothing will do like in that situation. It really, really, really can change an entire session, just like what someone's wearing. And it's hard because I'm having a hard time like stepping away from my other sessions to kind of explain because I do more planning for those sessions actually.
Yeah,
Not,
I mean,
yeah,
if
but
you wanna
for
get
shows.
into that, absolutely.
Well, it's like, you know, you have to keep in mind what you're wearing and what setting you're in, or else what you're trying to achieve is not going to be achieved. So whether I like sit down and listen to your music repeatedly, but in your session you didn't like come through with the vibe that you explained to me, I might have a tough time.
Yeah.
But I always like do my very best. I don't think I've ever like sent out a session thinking like this does not feel like them at all. And so I do feel like that's the artistry that I have. Like I can connect with people well enough to be able to bring that through. But it can get messy because everybody's different, and not messy in a bad way. It's just a lot to communicate. Like it's a lot of back and forth. There's so much back and forth. It's just a lot of like communicating. And so it's not like a clean process. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
It's
like
different for everyone.
It's different for everybody. Some people are more chatty like myself. And some people are just straight to the point. And so like you just get in and you get out and you're done. And but yeah, so it's very different just for everyone. It's kind honestly, I'm rambling because it's a hard question.
Yeah,
No,
totally.
that's fine.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so as for live shows, do you feel like you kind of know what to expect in certain genres and certain bands, or is it like everybody's completely different? And another part to that question is like a lot of bands are still. They're just very still. And like, I don't know, whenever you send me photos back of our shows, like I'm jumping, I'm moving.
Yeah, you move
constantly.
a lot.
Yeah, I move a lot.
No, I appreciate it.
Which I'm also like, is that a bad thing?
No, that makes me excited.
I've seen you take pictures of bands that I know didn't move during the show, but you make them look like they're moving and they're active and like so like creative in those.
That's
like,
good to
still
know.
shots.
Yeah, that you see that. That makes me feel good because it can be difficult. Like sometimes I leave shows and I'm like, oh, I did terrible. Like nothing's gonna come out of these, and especially like when you're getting paid to do that, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
Like they gotta come out.
Yeah.
So I pull stuff into Photoshop. So for in those moments where like I don't have a lot of action shots, I make weird edits in Photoshop. Instead like weird double exposures, blurred photos. Weird overlays, like that's when you kind of, that's what I do at least, to add a little flair to
texture.
And I'm big on texture too. There's literally so many things to talk about.
No, but I love all of it.
For each genre, do you feel like you're like shooting different? Or are you shooting the same all the time?
100% shooting different. And then there's even times where like I leave and I'm like, I could have shot that differently. Like, oh my God, the Dinosaur Boyfriend / the EP release, I left and I was like, why did I shoot that whole thing on flash? It just didn't like feel right. And I liked the pictures. They turned out great. Like they look great. But I was just like, I think I would have felt something different from them. Yeah. But like I never, like that's just me being a perfectionist also.
Right.
Because of course I want to deliver. But yeah, I would say I shoot every set different and I have just a different mindset. There are some bands that I just like, I don't know what it is, but when I step in front of their set, it just makes sense. Like I just shoot and my photos come out literally like, I don't understand. Like some bands, it's just not like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but like you can tell like when I'm like,
on it.
Feeling
it.
Yeah. And I do feel like you are someone that I mesh really, really well with. I mean, like you're here, so obviously I'm going to bring it up. But like I've always left shooting your shows thinking like that I think I got some really, really solid work, and I think I resembled myself and her through these pictures too. So like it is important to work with people that you resonate with. But also, like, I literally love working with every genre and every, like, there's really no limit, I guess.
Yeah. And you make me feel cool.
Well,
like,
you
I
are
look
cool.
At that and I'm like, oh, shit, did I look like that?
Like, you did, though. You did.
Did we match that well?
You did.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no. And it's fun to make people see that. Like, one of my favorite things is, like, one thing that I do when I start sessions, I'm like, do you want to feel powerful? Like, do you want to feel like, and so you, like, I literally, I give people a pep talk before I even start taking pictures of them, especially if I can sense that they're like
nervous about it.
Yeah. And most people are
insecure about it.
Most people are. And so, like, I just give a little pep talk and I'm like, what do you want to feel from this? And I feel like that question alone just sets the session up for success.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have to listen to the artist's music?
I do.
Before, like, I guess if you're taking a picture of them outside of a show.
Yeah. No, I listen. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to lie, there are times where, like, I've just been really busy. I didn't get to it. And, like, it was just a chaotic week. So I didn't get to, like, plan as much as. And, I mean, yes, I still get great shots, but I do think listening and kind of getting in that headspace is really what helps me pull out what I pull out and pull the emotion that I do too with my images. And I mean, it's hard because you work with so many different people and they all
have like a different.
Yes, everybody. I mean, I've shot enough now to be like, everyone is different. Everyone is different, which we all knew that. But
I mean, it's kind of obvious with your photos too, because I've had other people take photos of us live and it's not us, you know?
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for me. Like, I'm so glad that comes through. Like, you don't know how much that means to hear that, because that's like my goal is to always stay true to myself and allow others to do that as well. So heck yeah. That makes me happy.
So do you think you get better action shots during like slower songs than you do in like exciting songs? Because I feel like you have more time to react to different motions.
That's
and
a
stuff
good
during
question.
Slow songs than you do in fast songs, I guess.
It's like, I hate to say this, but a lot of photography is like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that shot. Like, you know, like, and so, but also I know my camera really well and I just know my equipment and I know how to adapt quickly. And that's the thing, is like being able to adapt in situations quickly. So yes. when there's not as much happening, but also there's not as much happening.
Exactly.
So like,
yeah, it's kind of double-edged sword.
Yes, exactly. So I get obviously more of my favorite shots when there's like just chaos.
Yeah.
Like I leave your shows, I'm like, that was chaotic.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yes.
No, I love it.
That's what I want.
See, you're doing the right thing too.
Yeah, it's getting through.
But yeah, so I mean, me personally, again, like what I shoot is like metal, so I get like my favorite shots because obviously that's chaos, you know, like it's a mess in the best ways. And so my personal favorite is just like crazy moments, and because like that's the thrill of it, you know, like I'm in that photo pit and I'm like, oh my god, like where am I going? And I'm tripping over rails and like bumping into people, not even meeting. And I'm like, oh god, sorry, like, and so it's like chaos because you're only actually, I don't know if everybody knows this because people have been surprised when I say this. For like bigger shows, you are only allowed in the photo pit for the first 3 songs. Yes, you have to. Yeah, and a lot of people don't. But I mean, it's totally obviously understandable because one, like that many photographers don't, you know, they don't need to be shooting the whole set. Yeah. They're in the way, they're in the front, you know, like just it's a good way to get in and out. And I've always gotten like really good shots just in those 3 songs, and then I just float the venue like afterwards. And
now when I build like live sets, I'm gonna be thinking about the first 3 songs.
No,
what
for real.
what do I need to be playing?
And it's funny
that they get the best pictures.
That's so funny you say that because I feel like that's a good thing to know for artists as well. Because I've shot some of like my favorite local bands too, and then I told them afterwards like hey, I only had the first 3. You know, if it's at a larger like even Norman Music Fest, I only got to shoot the first 3 in like the pit for most stages, definitely the main stage. But and so like artists also don't know like, hey, maybe I should like kick my leg out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like
this
if I want,
we should go hard.
If I want this cool shot, you know, like. But also like these artists get their photos done every night too. Yeah. So that's something I do have to keep in mind. But I still always, even though knowing that, like I try to get like the best shot.
Yeah.
The shot.
Yeah. And it's cool. I've definitely made some connections in like my metal realm that I hope will do something for me one day. Yeah, so it's been fun. But yeah, it's literally like first 3 songs, the lights gotta be right, you know, and just like go hard. I'll get you the shots.
Yeah.
But awesome. But also in local settings, like I kind of just float throughout the whole because there's no barricade, and it gives me, it's actually like local shows are some of my favorite to shoot, and like you don't have all those crazy lights. I was just about to ask like which you prefer. I mean, I love both for different reasons, but local shows I feel like obviously like I know you guys better and some of the other people I shoot as well, and so I feel that connection because I know you as well and I have the space to create. And there's no time limit, and so if I like, I can't tell you how many times I've left the photo pit and been like, why didn't I try this? Why didn't I do like this cool little thing in my camera? Like I do slow shutters and double exposures, and like half the time I forget because I'm just like 3 songs. So I mean, that's pretty much it with that. So like, but if you're on like a big stage, like Norman Music Fest when there's the photo pit and stuff, definitely first 3 songs. So artists, keep that in mind, please.
Go hard on the first 3 songs. Yeah,
for photo's sake.
I mean, I specifically don't jump till like the last 4 songs of my set, and you got the jump. Yeah. So it's like if it had been the first 3,
literal like the gap. I'm like, I got the air. I need to make an account just for those shoes. Like, I have so many pictures of those shoes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I had to look. I wasn't even paying attention.
I have so many pictures of those shoes.
Hundreds. So what are some of your favorite metal bands? I don't know much about metal.
Yeah. I just got done shooting, it wasn't even a month ago, this band called Era. They're super good. Robbie, my husband and I have followed, let me go back. Him and I have been together since I was 15. So like, we literally are just... we show up like dressing like in the same outfits, and so like when I talk about my music, I talk about my music taste, he's always involved because there was just so much, like that's how we met. We actually met in an alley.
Oh God,
the story gets better.
Can it?
In Bricktown after a Under Oath show.
Let's go. Yeah.
And we were from the same town, and I just recognized him, and so like that's how we bonded. So like metal is how we like came to know each other. So yes,
that's awesome.
Where were you from?
Ponca City.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Wow. Him and I both grew up there, and
We both love Under Oath.
We both. Yeah. Then we loved Under Oath. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how I got like started, because of course like back then they were like a Christian metal band, and I was like, Mom, this band's like Christian. Can I like they scream. Can I go to this concert?
They scream for God.
They scream for God. And she was like, yeah, I guess so. That's a big thing. My parents were actually very, very supportive of my creative side.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
like, I do feel like that's why I've done what I've done, is because like I always had their support. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
shout out mom and dad.
Supportive parents.
But yeah, so back to the question. Sorry. So yeah, Era, Robbie and I like started listening to them a really, really, really long time ago. And then this was just super cool. And you know, it really, like, to them, it probably means nothing. But I just reached out to the vocalist because I couldn't get a hold of their press person to get a pass for this show. And he just remembered, I'm assuming he remembered my work, and he got Robbie and I in to the show, like a sold out show. And I got to, I got to shoot the show. And like those little things are just what I'm super, super thankful for. So I just did that like not that long ago. And so Era is great. You know, there's a lot. We listen to, they're called Varials. They're super good. They're just kind of like in your face, gritty, you know, like
your photos.
Yes, like my photos. Yes. I love Varials. There's this band called 1056. They're also very, I mean, some people would watch their videos and be like, I'm a bit horrified, you know? And then I'm like,
give me more.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and I've always been like that. So
that's awesome.
Well, my brother was also a big influence for me. So he's 3 years older than me, and he listened to heavy music. And so like when he first got his first car, like we'd just go hang out and he'd play some like, I can't even think, like Lacuna Coil and like, I don't know, just a ton of weird stuff that kind of like made me take the path that I did. So we love the grit. So yeah, like Era, Alpha Wolf's also really good. About to go see them in like 4 days, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, I love metal, and I really do think it's just because of like how I grew up and like the music that I started listening to at like the most, you know, like you're like not a preteen. Yeah, like, you know, when you're really figuring out who you are. And I just kind of clung to that, and I realized that was like what I resembled the most, I guess. So yeah, it's definitely like my home for music. Yeah. My preferred, but I really do love everything. It's hard to say, but that's awesome. That's my favorite.
So if you could shoot any band in the world or tour with any band in the world, who would it be?
That's tough.
Honestly, dead or alive.
You can do like the top 3. You can do
okay,
top
yeah.
3, so you don't have to pick one.
There's multiple reasons. There's this band Spirit Box, and they're also like a screamy band, but it's a female vocalist. Hey. And she screams like I've never heard. She was I mean, I don't know if anybody's watching that like listens to this kind of stuff, but for reference, she was in I Wrestled a Bear Once, so she's been like in the industry for a long time, and they've just like blown up. They're from Canada, so they're kind. They're very kind.
Yeah,
and
participate in the purge.
But I feel like they would be my number one, just because like I find so much inspiration from that lead that she just like is such a boss. She's such a boss.
Yeah. God, I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's actually really, really tough because, again, like I love so many different things, but obviously, like metal would be my, like that's where I would be most comfortable. That's where I create the best. Like I create the best for grit.
Right.
That's just like, it makes sense when I create in that way.
Yeah.
So Spirit Box would be super cool just because like she's goals.
Yeah.
Like
dude.
I would love to be like that one day. Yeah. When I grow up. I'm grown, dang it.
So did you go to ACM for business?
I went for performance and business.
Oh. Okay. What was your performance like major?
Vocal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I it's
so
weird,
you got
man.
pipes.
No, I definitely sing, and I really, really enjoy it. I sang my entire life. Like that's what
awesome.
It's weird because that's what I started doing, and I really enjoy it. It's not that I don't. I just, like I said, I realize I like not being seen.
Well, like you can help people express their feelings through photos.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that gives you like more insight too when you are shooting, because you like know what to kind of look for.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
If somebody was like shooting you yourself or
like I know
you have more of an insight, I guess.
And I feel like that's a huge thing for me too, because I always try to put myself in like y'all's place, you know, always. So, and you know, Robbie is in Dinosaur Boyfriend, and so like we're always around music, and so like I remember back in the day, I'd be like taking a nap, and he'd be like drumming right next to my head, like you know. So
like,
I'm just fine. So like I definitely put myself in the place of musicians, or try to in some way, to get what I think y'all need.
That's
do
awesome.
You see yourself ever singing in a band in the future?
I do, but it's hard because I have like such a vision, and you know when your voice is not that vision.
Yes.
And so like I'm just trying to figure out where to go with that. But it's actually me, my brother, and Robbie. It's just like a little. We literally have no name or anything. We are no name.
No name
So
is not a band name.
like underground.
Yeah, very, very underground. We don't even have any songs. But we do. We're working on some stuff actually,
That's
and
really cool.
I'm super excited. But again, like I am a behind the scenes person, and so that makes me uncomfortable. But I'm also trying new things.
Yeah.
Even though it's not new, I did it like my entire childhood.
Cool.
But yeah, as an adult, it's very different.
Yeah.
I always heard, so speaking of being like uncomfortable with like your own performance, I always heard that, I think, I don't remember exactly who said it, but I think it was like David Bowie or something, that the reason that he put on so many like personas and stuff was because he felt uncomfortable like himself. And so being able to have like an alias, like that Ziggy alias, like made him so much more comfortable. And maybe you just need like an alias
it's
to like
funny you say that because
feel comfortable.
Yeah, like I've kind of not toyed with the idea of like a persona necessarily, but like just like having, so this music that we're doing, we can't decide. I like so many things. And like, I mean, Robbie and I both, and my brother. So that's the thing is we just have that, like, we just work well together because I've known my brother my whole life and I've known Robbie for half of my life. So, so it's going to be good, whatever we do. But it's just like, I don't want to say this because like for everyone listening, it will probably come across in the wrong way, but like theatrical in a way.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I just
that's
like,
cool.
I like to just draw in the attention and like make people like really be like,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, whoa.
yeah. So like musically, that's where I want it to be. And vocally, it's kind of like airy, wispy, like
I dig it, yeah.
dainty, but mysterious.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so something like that.
No, that's really cool.
And I'm really excited. It's going to be cool, but it's like, it's going to be tough because I just haven't done it in so long. So it's weird for sure. Like putting myself on the end that I took myself away from years ago.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
Kill
really
it.
cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill it.
We are no name.
I like that
Yeah.
actually.
We are no
yeah.
name.
And doing gives you confidence. I mean, doing it will.
No, you're right, for
You're gonna
sure.
like-
And like, I feel ready, but I'm like, you just got to, like, you have to make songs first, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you got to get there first. But
Yeah.
I think it's time to just like kind of step back into that again. So
awesome.
I'm nervous, but yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
We'll have you back with
Okay,
no
cool.
name.
With no name. I think that's it now. I'm just going to, whatever.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
So you kind of mentioned it a little bit. Do you have any like words of advice or words of encouragement for anybody trying to get into like that whole photography side of the industry or
For
anything
sure.
like that?
I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of tough out there right now. The industry has definitely changed just in the last like couple months, just from social media, honestly, and that's it's hard to maintain your presence and like lead your life outside of that as well, and that's something I definitely like have a hard time with. Because again, I'm more of a behind the scenes person. Like I don't want to put myself out there.
Yeah.
It's so hard. So I'm like post some pictures and that's putting myself out there. So, but definitely, take my advice that I can't take myself and put yourself out there. It's really, really important because like I said, for years, I worked for a publication for free. And I just shot literally everything. Like, I know I shot just like some of the different projects that you were in years ago because I was just keeping up with like what was going on in the city and I was shooting all the events that happened in the city. So like go to every event, go like, because I mean, for the most part, you can go in and shoot. You might need to reach out to like whoever's putting on the event or find a publication to like shoot through. So yeah, publication's like your first step. If you want to be shooting like big shows, publication is usually the only way. And just really, really put yourself out there. Consistently post. Go hang out with friends and just like shoot a cool concept that could resemble what you want people to come to you for. And like I still do free sessions with friends sometimes because I'm like I need to like create just for me.
Yeah.
And so like always try to create for yourself because when it gets to that point of being a job, you want to make sure you cover all your bases and you want to make sure that you create, like I said, for like what you would want out of your photos as well. And so like it is important to take some time to shoot exactly what you want.
If you do it like as a job too, I feel like you can get to burnout mode so quickly. And so if you continue as she's like sighing, oh my goodness.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, so you kind of got to take a break every now and then. Do it for yourself.
I'm
do
actually like
really
coming
enjoy
out of a break.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is fun that I get to do this kind of as I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. But yeah, breaks I really do think are necessary because as a creative and as an art, you know, just any artist, any form, our minds just aren't like, you know, we're not like, we can't just sit and, you know, so like breaks are definitely a necessity for me. And after 2021, I overworked myself because I feel like everyone was like ready to book sessions again. And I overbooked myself. I mean, it was just constant and just crazy. And I'm thankful that I did it. And I'm thankful that I showed myself that I could do it, but it 100% caused burnout. And like, I don't want people to get to that point. That's the biggest thing is like, I want people to still feel what they felt at the very beginning. And like, I'm not saying I don't, because I definitely do. Like, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be, but burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing in any industry, like art industry, I'm sure. But yeah, just like stick with it. Take breaks when you feel like your brain isn't being as creative as it usually is. Cause that's usually a sign like, alert like
take a nap.
You're overheating. So take breaks when necessary. Create when you're able. Don't force anything. Stay true to yourself. That's something that I really, really, really stand by. And people that also, I do mentor sessions as well. And so
nice. Shout out.
You said I could shout out anything.
Yeah, dude.
I do mentor sessions. And so like the people that come to my mentor sessions, what they always mention is they're like, I'm scrolling and I see a photo and I immediately know that it's yours. Be yourself. That's like a huge, huge thing because you will stand out. Like you won't blend in and you will be able, because there are a lot of artists out there and like it's incredible to see everything, but it's hard to stand out in some cases, I guess. But definitely like stay true to yourself and take breaks and reach out to those publications.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's pretty much my advice for the people trying to step in.
I was actually going to ask, how often do you try and like, because obviously as the photographer, I don't know anything about photography. If you like came to me and asked me, I would be like, I don't know. Do you ever try and like guide the artists into a certain direction of like, hey, I think this would actually be like, like, how do you go about, like,
I actually have, like, no problem just being honest. Like, at our shoot, I was like, hey, I think we need to change this light color.
Yeah.
And then those photos were a really good dynamic to the other color that we had. Because, like, you came into the set thinking, like, I want red. I want red everything. Yeah. And so we were shooting all red, and I'm like, first of all, I can't see anything. Like,
we're blind.
We were literally, like, blinded by this light. We were in this...
That's
a whole other story. But, yeah, and so, like... But if it's for the better of the shoot, like I have no issue. And I always, in my little pep talk, usually before my sessions, I'm like, I have no problem being honest with you if something's not working out the way that I thought it was going to, or you either. And so I have absolutely no problem just like kind of like
guiding it.
Yeah. Like it's never really been an issue I say that's never been an issue for me. Years of practice, actually. Like when I look back, I really have been shooting for a really, really long time. It's been like professionally, like, I mean, it actually boomed after I had my daughter. So like a little over 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah. Like it all just kind of fell into place after she was born, and which is super cool.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, she's kind of the driving force to everything that Robbie and I do. And like, we wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for that.
That's really cool.
That little crazy girl. I adore her. Yeah.
So I have a question about like logistics. So how did you learn like Lightroom and Photoshop? Did you take a class or were you like just winging it?
Yeah. So again, I went to school for music.
Right.
Like I didn't, and sometimes I wish I would have gone for graphic design or something like that, just so I could know the ins and the outs of Photoshop a little bit better. Photoshop is definitely still terrifying to me. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. But what I do with Lightroom, I've just, I've used it long enough to where I know where to go when something's gone wrong. Like I know what to go to fix it. And for the most part. So Lightroom I'm super comfortable with. It's definitely like for people starting out, it's like $10 a month at least. Shoot, I think it is. But last time I renewed that. So it's super cheap. It comes with Photoshop. Like it's a great way to start, and you get those two together. So Lightroom, it's just hands-on, like you've really just got to get in and do it until you learn what does what. And, you know, it's really surprising. So it took me a while to figure out. But Photoshop, I literally just like, I go in there not even knowing what's going to come out. And that's the fun part about it. Yeah. And that's why I wonder if like, I definitely can only do like graphic things for myself because I'm like, can someone tell me to do something? I'm like, I don't know what to do. But I create best when it comes from nothing. Like, but like Photoshop, super weird, but I like used our scanner and I taped our scanner, and then like I got some paper and I burnt it, and then I scanned it on the scanner, and then I did like an overlay in Photoshop, and so like that obviously adds a lot of texture and dimension, and so like Photoshop wise, I do a lot of like I don't know Photoshop that well, but
it's hard.
It really is. And like, but once you learn one little thing, a lot of other things make sense.
Yeah.
And so I'm in that process of kind of learning the program, and I'm in a place where like I'm comfortable in it, but it's definitely something I wish I would have started sooner. You know, like the sooner you start something, the sooner you're going to be better at it. So why not start now? Just start now.
I feel that with like DAWs and stuff. Like I was the same way with Pro Tools. Like I even went to school for it.
Yeah.
And it took me like me actually using it like in a studio setting and using those tools that are in the program to finally like connect all of the dots. And I feel like it's the same way with Photoshop.
It really
like
is, yeah.
You don't really like, you can learn something, like watch a video and be like, oh, okay. But it's not until you are wanting to use that effect or that tool, I guess, that it finally like all clicks inside those softwares. And it's like,
it's usually me like re-YouTubing a video of something I'd already done. And I'm like, how do I do this again? And then I re-YouTube it 5 more times. And I'm like, I think I learned this. So yeah, it's just like doing it over and over and over again as well. I've kind of like learned a few different actions in Photoshop, and I try to use them on the majority of my projects so I can get comfortable with them. Yeah. But that's when awesome. I do free shoots, and I can do Photoshop, and like if it looks ridiculous, doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's a free shoot.
Doesn't matter.
In my mind, I feel like Lightroom is Logic Pro, DAW, and then Photoshop is Pro Tools.
For sure.
And they're both like way too hard to learn.
Yeah.
It's all about hands-on.
Yeah. Get in there.
When I'm mixing those two things that I'm not.
No, I get it. I took those classes. Like I did audio like engineering class. I had to take a couple. Like, oh God.
It's tough.
I made a song out of raindrops.
Hey.
Let's go.
Like those are good
we
times.
Want to hear that.
I can find it. Not right now, but I can bring it up.
That's amazing.
So do you have like a favorite photo shoot that you've ever had, and then like a worst photo shoot? Like, you don't have to name anybody or name any artist, but like what happened, what went wrong, or what was the best experience too at the same time?
I don't want to tell any stories because they know who they are.
Oh no.
It's not like, it's just like, this is my job too. So like show up and like there's mutual respect. Like I'm not coming, like I am coming to hang out, but we hang out while we shoot, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, as for like bad shoots, just people that are a little like we spent like hours because we were just walking around and they wanted to like eat before, or like I sat and I waited while they ate.
So keep it.
And I'm
business.
like, we were friends, but I was like, this isn't what I like. This isn't, you know. And then at the end of the shoot, like they were all just like annoyed because they were done taking pictures, and I was like, people actually get really annoyed when they get their picture taken.
Oh, no.
Believe it or not, they get really annoyed after a certain amount of time.
Oh no!
And not everybody, but it can be common for people to, and I get it because I really do. Like I laugh about it, but you're in front of the camera and you're uncomfortable. Like and that's why I give my pep talk. Like if you don't feel like yourself, we need to talk a little bit before until that moment. Like I wouldn't say like it was like my worst shoot.
Yeah.
Like I would not say that, but it was just weird to like show up and then it be like, people always leave my session saying like, oh my God, I had such a good time. And like, we can do that without me sitting and waiting for you to eat for 30 whatever minutes. And because again, I have a kid. Like I love my family. I'm huge. Just, I love being with them all the time. And so like, I'm big on respecting people's time. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
No, that's huge.
Respecting people's time, because I arrange so much to do what I do, you know, and like, they were just like, I don't know. It's just so weird. I can't.
Yeah.
I would say no more.
Well, and I feel like people like to take advantage of that in any creativity, you know, in studio sessions and photography sessions, like, and when you're getting your hair done, you know.
And like things happen, but that was like blatantly like, hey, we're just chilling. But like you told me to be here at this time. I was here at this time, and I thought we were shooting at this time. not eating a meal.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just the first thing to come to my head. But yeah, just like respect people's time was like, sorry, with today, not
God.
a big deal at all, because like this is different. Like
Yeah.
you're doing things, you know, like it's not like, you know, like if you're just like, it's very different. Trust me there.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, just when it comes to people and they know what you're doing to set that time aside, and they still like, I have a lot of people that are late to sessions, and so it's really nothing that like grinds my gears, you know, like as I'm saying all of this, it's nothing that really like I left and I was just like, oh my God. But I'm just like, it like, I don't know, it's just weird.
It's just like professional courtesy.
Yeah,
just like respect everybody's time kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And like I've done minis before where like everyone canceled the day of. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? So I take deposits now. I take deposits.
Nice, that's smart.
That was lesson right there. That was a few years ago. So lessons to learn. Take deposits, photographers. But yeah, so people, just when it comes to like respecting the space and what you're doing, because like I was there when I needed to be, and then they were annoyed at the end of the session, you know, like, so I'm like, I'm just here doing me. Like I'm doing the best I can. And but that is a tough one. Like I'm just like coming up with stuff.
Right.
Well, and it's like, you know, it might be a creative job, but it's still a job.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I
that.
make sure we have fun in the session. So it's not like there's not time for that, you know? Like, again, it's a big deal for me to make someone feel comfortable and then leave feeling like they accomplished something and they had a good time and they didn't just like sit there and take pictures.
Totally.
So yeah, but there's so many aspects. And then like as for like a good experience,
like your favorite.
I mean, my favorite shoot
or like, you know, show that you shot.
Show
could be anything.
There's so much because I've there's and I do one thing and it's my favorite, and then I do another thing and that's my favorite, and it just kind of like builds on top of each other.
Not a bad problem.
You know, I guess, you know, and I'm really, really proud that I can put out consistent stuff and feel proud of it, because it's hard to like yourself sometimes, and so the fact that I've like found what feels right to me is really fulfilling and super cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, like I'd mentioned it before we even started, I've had really, 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 really great clients. Like I truly have nothing to actually complain about. Because everyone has been just very understanding. It's just growing up, if you were like on time, you were late, you know, like that was like my and so
that's not always true for the music industry.
No, and that's fine. Like I get that, because things just are different. But when it's like a set time for a session, you know, like, because, you know, mini sessions too, I have like one after another, and so you gotta be on time.
If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
God. Okay.
God.
No, I take that back.
It's not an easy one.
No. And again, I'm not going to lie. Like growing up, I was kind of out of the pop culture world. Like I really didn't like, you know, and so like, I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of.
We let Mallory pick a whole dinner party. So you had 5 people. So if you want a whole dinner party worth of people, pick 5 people if you want.
She actually only chose 4. So.
4. Oh, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's so tough. Truly. Like, I think I'm going to have to back out of this question.
No, there's too many people.
There's too many people now.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that, because I don't know. That's the question that I can't answer. The one question.
Next time.
Next time. I will have my answer.
You gotta follow up.
My family actually makes fun of me because I'm like a very indecisive person. So like when it comes to like going to, okay, this is typical, but when it comes, just an example, like going to eat, you know, I'm like,
oh yeah,
don't ask me.
Please,
don't
just
ask me.
choose somewhere. I'll go. Yeah. I'm
so
with you.
I'm a little indecisive.
That's right. You got time now to think about it. Next time you're on,
okay,
we're asking you a whole dinner party.
Who's your dinner party?
The
guest?
second I start driving away, I'll start thinking about it. They'll all pop in my head the second I get in the car. I promise they will.
It always happens that way.
Yeah. So sorry.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. It was a good time.
Being on our podcast.
Anything you want to promote? Anything coming up? Any projects? Or
you know, like I said, I'm kind of coming out of a break. Like I'm ready to create. That's the thing. So anybody hit me up. I definitely want to get creative. I love portraits as well, but I love band promos. So I'm definitely trying to do more of that, and just kind of have like a rounded, you know, solo artist, full bands, just kind of everything in between. I love it all. So yeah, I would love to book some more promos. Definitely, hey. You know, one day I would love to like go on the road with a band, but clearly that's sometime down the line.
It'll happen.
But I do believe that what I'm doing is like the right direction. So
Totally.
Nice.
come hang out and we'll have fun at our session and don't be late.
Yeah. It will be fun.
Well, thank you, Maddie.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure having you.
Yeah,
you.
thanks so much.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Soundheads.
Don't forget to keep your head in the sounds. We'll see you next week.
Bye.